Welcome to Lexx Talk About It podcast. We are here with another exciting episode today with the special guest who is going to join us for the Talk That Talk segment. Today, our guest is a chef, a father, a grandfather, a husband, a remarkable artist in the culinary profession who takes his craft very serious. Placed 18 of the top 25 dessert wars of 2024, Chef brings a unique perspective to our discussion today. We are thrilled to have him on the show to share his insights, stories, and opinions. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Chef Frederick Privette to the Let's Talk About It podcast. Chef, we are glad to have you today.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So I would like to jump in because first off, we're going to share with the world that you are here with the brand KP Candies. If they don't know, these are the best dessert treats I've personally had. They're good summertime, wintertime. I like them all year round if you ask me. So beginning with this interview, I would like you to tell us about your background and what got you in this industry.
Well, I've been in food service for over 30 years prior to the pandemic. I lost my job because of the pandemic. All the restaurants and stores had to close down. And I had to shut down KP Candies briefly because I couldn't order some of my raw materials. So I just stopped making them temporarily. But I started in food service at 13 years old as a dishwasher. Um, then I quickly just started going through the ranks. I've always had a job to from where I could eat. So, but over time, at one point in time, I played football in high school, played minor league ball, wanted to go to the NFL like most people do, but the NFL is hard to get in. Like, I mean, you can even go to a D1 school, and you just got to be in the right place at the right time. But I've always worked in food service in some way, form, or fashion. But as far as KP Cannons, I just got tired of eating the same thing, so I decided to create my own product.
I like that because everything do start to taste the same. So what inspired you to start KP Candies?
Well, what inspired me, my first product was the S'mores Crunch. So at the time, my daughter, she was in summer camp and they were making s'mores. So I went to go pick her up from school. She said, "Daddy, can we make some s'mores?" I said, "Sure." So we went to the grocery store and picked up graham crackers, marshmallows, and some Hershey's chocolate bars. And while I was in the store, I had an aha moment. I said, "Well, I could make this. I could make this better." So I grabbed up just a whole bunch of different things. And once I made my daughter her s'mores, I just went into Chef Fred mode,
Mm-hmm.
and I changed the s'mores crunch about 8 times before I finally got it right.
Okay.
So once I got it right, I was playing minor league football still, and took some out to practice and let some of my teammates and coaches try 'em, and they couldn't believe that I made them. So then I gave my wife something to take to her job, and I created these little small cards. And in order for you to get one, you had to fill the card out. And just, I think I probably made about 300 to 400 samples, and out of those samples, only 10 people didn't like them. I said, "Man, I
Mm.
got something here." And the people
Yeah.
that didn't like them, they didn't care for marshmallow. So I had some leftover chocolate coating that I created and just dipped the graham cracker in it and called it graham cracker delight. So I went
Mm.
back to those same people that didn't like marshmallow and gave them the graham cracker delight, and they loved it. And KP Candies started from there.
I love that. That's actually an amazing story because even though you did find those people who didn't like it, you made sure you went back and provided a product to their liking. So
Right.
I like that because that just That just lets me know that you were serious about it. You knew you had something great, but you were willing to alter it for those who didn't. So I like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, did you always want to pursue this line of work?
No, I didn't. I actually wanted to go to the NFL. That was really the only dream I had. I was actually totally against working in food service, believe it or not, because I felt like, that's all they thought, you know, people of color could do was cook and clean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, no, I could do more than that. But, I work with a bunch of chefs that sometimes people see your talent before you do. And a lot of chefs were like, man, you just got raw talent. I'm like, raw talent? I don't even know what that means. But, they just saw the raw talent I had. And from there, as far as like the confection was something I just stumbled upon because I was doing catering and everybody was doing catering. But before I got into the chocolate part of it, I was actually doing sugar centerpieces. Where I was
Mm,
actually, and a lot of people don't do it anymore. It's kind of like a lost art. So I would just boil sugar, water, and I was able to pull sugar, like making my own candy. But I was also able to blow sugar. Like people blow glass, I can do
right.
that. I can cast sugar. I can airbrush. Pastillage is like a canvas you make out of powdered sugar, vinegar, and water.
Mm,
So, but I went back to making my chocolates. I found out real quick in North Carolina the humidity is very bad.
mm-hmm,
So if you ever had a piece of candy and left it out and it get real sticky,
mm-hmm.
that's the humidity.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
so I went from using sugar to using isomalt. Isomalt is a form of sugar that hadn't been refined. You don't even need water to melt down isomalt. So and I learned that from Chef Ewart Naughter, but I'll talk about him a little bit later. But I just kept going back. I wanted to combine KP candies with my sugar centerpieces, but the sugar centerpieces just didn't work. The humidity here was just too bad, too bad. And I
Mm,
competed in a few competitions like you would see on Food Network, and every time I would do a centerpiece, the humidity was so bad. I think the last competition I was in, I did like a spout, like a water spout made out of sugar. And I made a whale. I had to blow air into it like a sperm whale. And I was
mm-hmm.
pulling, I had uh, combined like light blue sugar and clear sugar. And I had it pulled up and you had to move. And that piece probably was about 3 or 4 feet. I had to move it from one table to another. If you've seen it on,
Yeah.
yeah, and the humidity was so bad. As soon as I move it, crack, it just broke.
Wow. I didn't even know that like humidity or the weather in general like played a factor into doing things like that. Like of course, like heat melts chocolate and stuff like that, but I didn't even know the humidity messed with sugar like that. Not at
Oh
all.
yeah, yeah. The regular sugar you buy at the store, leave a piece of Jolly Ranchers out and see what happens to it. I'm gonna tell you this quick story. Um, I went to work with this Chef Ewart Naughter. He's like he's what they call an MOF. An MOF means you're he's one of the best pastry chefs on the planet. I
Mm.
mean, he's won so many competitions he can't even compete anymore.
Oh wow.
So I worked with him. I went to one of his workshops for 3 days. So I learned how to pull sugar and make flowers like rose petals and stuff like that. So this lady I was working with, she wanted me to make some petals for a garnish, and she wanted like 400 petals. I said, well, you're gonna have to use isomalt. Sugar is not going to work. She said, well, I can't afford isomalt. I said, ma'am, I'm gonna tell you right now, First of all, I'm gonna charge you about $50 an hour. It's gonna take me about 3 hours to
Dang.
do it. So I
Mm.
said, but I'm telling you, once I pull these pedals, they're not gonna last. They won't last overnight. She said, well, I'll put them in the refrigerator. I said, no, you can't do that either. No, you can't put these in the refrigerator because they'll be real sticky. So she paid me the money. I pulled the pedals. She called me the next day. Hey, Chef Fred, I got a puddle of water in the pan. I said, well, I told you, all of them melted. I said, the humidity here is so bad. I said, I told you to order isomo. She said, well, can you pull these for me? I said, well, you're going to have to order isomo and pay me another $150.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
you done did the labor the first time. Ain't no way you gonna
Yeah.
give me for free the second now.
No, no, because people don't understand. I got to pull that sugar while it's hot.
Mm.
And it's like 200 and something degrees.
Oof.
So I have to shock it. Well, first of all, I have to boil it till it's like 330 degrees. Then I have to shock it to stop the cooking process. Then I have to pour it on this mat called a seal pack. Nothing, I've only seen one thing stick to a seal pack. If you're familiar, I think everybody know what nougat is. If you eat Three
Mm-hmm.
Musketeers, I had to make some nougat one time from scratch. That was the only thing I ever seen stick to a seal pack.
Oh wow.
So you pour it on a seal pack, then you kind of you let it run. It's like lava almost, and you
Mm.
just take the seal pack, pull it back and forth. Then you fold it. Then you start pulling it like taffy. But
Okay,
you have to take your hands and put them down on the table to cool your hands off.
cause you're messing with
So,
it while it's 200
oh
degrees.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Now at the time when you pulling it, it's like 300.
Ooh.
So just imagine you going outside on a hot day, and you got your hands down on the concrete.
Mm-mm.
That's what it's like. So when I worked with Chef Nana for those 3 days, everybody in that class, their entire hand was blistered
Yeah, I
from pulling
believe
the
it.
cookies. Yeah, for the last day, we couldn't do anymore. We
Everybody
just
just was
couldn't.
done.
Yeah, we were done. But it made my hands tough though. So, but yeah, that's pretty much um, how I began with sugar. But the chocolate, I just stuck with it.
Okay. So, being that we've now learned some of the first stages of you within this business, did you face any challenges or obstacles within the early stages? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, my first challenge was um, a lot of whatever you do, a lot of people gonna hate on you, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I in the culinary field, I dealt with a lot of institutional racism because I would come in the kitchen and just be able to outcook people that have went to culinary school. I never went to culinary school. I just
Mhm.
worked with a bunch of good chefs who, we'll talk about it later. But, some jobs I quit, some jobs I stuck with it. I've even got into some physical altercations on the job. But that was before I went to school and got my degree and learned how to beat people, with the keyboard instead of physically. But
Right.
people don't understand kitchen is a very hostile area because for one thing, it's hot and it's very intense. Especially when it's busy. Yeah, tempers can flare, but I just overcame it just with I became mature.
Mm.
So yeah, I became mature.
When you said you started out being a dishwasher, how old were you and where were you working at that kind of exposed you to getting into cooking?
Well, my first job as a dishwasher, I was working in a pub in downtown Raleigh with my dad. He had a lounge. It was called a Soul Seekers Lounge, and I would go in there and wash dishes because they had like a little restaurant. You know how them little hole in the walls, they have
Yeah.
fish plates and stuff like that. So I would go take out the trash, sweep, mop, stuff like that. But I knew um, that was something I didn't want to do. But what got me out of the dish room, I was working at a hospital as a utility worker.
Mm.
And back then, they had like this huge vat. So if you were a patient in the hospital, we used to do what they call scraping the carts when they go upstairs and get the carts. And you dump the food off in this thing, and it puts water, pushes the food down. And they had this blade in there that chopped everything up. And one night I was cleaning it out, and somehow the water splashed on my face. Now, mind you, this is almost like freaking sewer water. The water splashed on my face. I said, "Man, I can't do this."
Yeah,
I said, "I
that's
got to move out of here." And I
and that
looked
was
over.
that was the thing from the food from everybody at the
Yeah.
hospital.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. That stuff splashed. I did. I think I dropped something in there and it splashed in my face. I think I dropped like a plate or something in there, and the water splashed in my face. And I said, "No, I need to get over there.
yeah.
I need to go over there where the cooks at." And I used to go over there and mess around because I was very good at imitating people. So I
Mm.
would imitate the people sauteing and stuff like that. But what happened was one of the cooks called out, and they needed a cook. And I remember the chef looking over there. And he looked at me. He said, "Fred, come over here." So I went over there. I said, "What's going on, chef?" He said, "I'm gonna put you on the line tonight and see what you can do." And I was like, "Man, I can't cook." He said, "Yes, you can. You imitate it all the time." I said, "But yeah, that ain't the same." He said, "Listen, I know you want to be out of that dish room." So to make a long story short, probably about a month and a half, I was a lead line cook.
Okay,
Yeah, I was a
man.
lead line cook.
Okay. I like that. All it takes is a chance.
Yeah, the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So how did you initially fund your startup business with KP Candies?
Funding, this is what I'm gonna tell people about a business. When people say you can get grants and loans and all that sort of stuff, no, you can't. It's not as easy as you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm doing what they call bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is pretty much funding your own business with working a 9 to 5.
Okay.
I'm doing mine by bootstrapping. I did have one person that I did sell like 5% of my shares of KP Candies. So I do have one shareholder.
Okay.
Um, but the thing about that is funding a small business. One of the biggest lies people ever tell you, man, if I come into some money, I'm gonna help you out. No, they ain't. They're not gonna help you. They ain't gonna do it. I'm telling you, I've had a lot of people
That's the
I
real
know
tea
for a
cost.
fact that have come into some funds. They ain't gonna help you. They gonna look the other way. So, but this is the flip side of that. The people
Mhm.
that you don't expect to help you will help you. So the people that tell you want to help, that is going to tell you they're going to help you, they ain't going to help you. But the people that you don't expect to help will help. So to answer your question, I'm bootstrapping KP
Okay.
Candy.
So, did you face, which I'm sure, like financial hurdles with trying to get business loans or anything like that? Like, what was that process? Because I'm slowly starting to get into commercial banking and understand like the business side of banking, but what are like major hurdles that you maybe had to jump through or go through with trying to get that funding?
Well, like I said before, I'm gonna start back when I started KP Candies in 2001. Everybody was excited because I just had the s'mores. They said, "Man, go down to the SBA office and they'll help you." I didn't even know what the SBA was. The SBA is the Small Business Administration. So I went down there, and at the time it was at the top of the post office downtown Raleigh. So I
Okay.
sat down with this gentleman that was the SBA. They are a bunch of retired accountants, lawyers, and stuff like that. So I'll never forget this guy. This gentleman, I didn't know anything about uh, business plans, marketing plans. I, he didn't even take the time to explain it to me. This is what he told me. He said, "Do you have any samples?" I said, "No, sir." He said, well, how they supposed to sell if you don't have any samples? And I gave him the stack of cards. He said, but I hadn't tried it yet. I said, well, I didn't come here to give you a sample. I came here to get some help. And he told me, he said, your product will never sell. You can't compete with the big companies. So I sat back. I said, so I came down here for your help. Instead, I got an insult. I said, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to prove to you that my product is going to sell.
Right.
So um, that right there, that's what motivated me. That's what drove me, and I just kept pushing.
Yeah, I
I
like
just
that. I
kept
had to
pushing.
write that down because I never heard of a SBA office either. So I know with me going into businesses and, wanting to get LLCs and things like that, I know I'm going to have to get into funding to some degree. And to even know that there is a small business office, I never heard of that. Never heard of that before. So I will be taking notes for this interview. I ain't lying.
So, but now you can go to Wait Tech, and right now there's I do a lot of online seminars. I attend a lot of online seminars. I want to say it's either it's Coastal something community college. They have
Close to
online.
Carolina.
No, it's not Coastal Carolina. I can't think of the name of it right away, but they have some pretty good seminars. I'll send you the information, and everything is Zoom.
Okay.
Everything is on Zoom, and when I say you get a lot of information, I just did one last week for social media. It was this young lady that was, because they usually last about an hour. It's very informative for about 1 hour. Some of the
Okay.
stuff I do know, some of the stuff I don't know, but I'll get you the information later.
No, I really would appreciate that because I definitely I know like I'm trying to figure things with the podcast as an LLC, but I also have something on the backside that I'm wanting to get done too. And I know it's gonna be costly and I'm gonna need the business grants and stuff like that. And I know funding is something that a lot of people shy away from. Like some people already come from a line of blessings, so they're able to financially get into the careers or into the fields that they would like to be in versus other people who need to find the funding. And I'm a part of the other people who need to find the funding. And I know like that's one of my biggest hurdles and obstacles right now is finding grants and loans because one of the first things that a bank told me was your business is new, so you have no business credit. So we're not able to just front you a loan. So we would have to find another way to. And I didn't, that was something I just didn't even think of initially. I was just going thinking that, okay, boom, we have the LLC, we have the business, we have the plan. How do I get the money? And they're making it hard. They're definitely
It ain't
making
hard.
it hard.
It ain't hard at all. Just bootstrap like I'm doing. See, this is what people don't tell you. They won't tell you. They'll tell you, yeah, you can get grants, loans, and stuff like that. No, you can't. Most of those grants, loans, and all the stuff that they said that's available, you need to look into funding for African American women. Women get more funding than men. That's why companies start, when most companies start, and if it's ran by a female, there's money out there, but you just got to find it. Nobody's going to tell you how to find it,
Right.
but they'll tell you that there's money there, but they ain't going to tell you where it is. They're not going to tell you a
Mhm.
specific location. So to cut through all that, just bootstrap. You know, um, get a because I still do gig apps to buy if I need to buy something off of Fiverr, if I need to get a banner done, if it costs me $45, I go out here and do Instacart and DoorDash, make me about $100, do me get them the graphics that they need. If I don't have time to do it myself, I'm gonna get the Premiere package. It's gonna cost me about $60, and I'm gonna factor in a $10 tip. So I'm gonna pay $75 for
Mhm.
something that I own. So, and I could use it for the rest of my life. But the way you're going to do it is by networking. Networking is what you're going to get you where you need to go. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with Legendary Baller. Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
Look him up on YouTube. He's this guy. He's this. When I tell you he got bars, I mean, I told him he need to change his name into prison because he got more bars than the prison. He's this guy that dresses up like an old guy, and when I tell you he spit bars,
What's his
he
name?
spit bars. Legendary Baller,
Baller.
Legendary Baller, aka Lima Beans. One night I was making some s'mores, and I follow him on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I went and saw that he was live on Instagram and chimed in on him. And I talked to him. I said, "Man, I really appreciate you changing the hip hop game." And I told him, who I was. And I told him while I'm making, my product, because he also goes by the name Chocolate Sinatra. So,
Okay.
uh, so I told him, I said, while I'm making my candies, sometimes, my wife would come in the kitchen and be like, "You listen, why you need to turn that down? Why you always listen to Legendary Baller?" I tell my wife, "Look, go back to the room and watch TV. You see, I'm busy right now, but it's all in fun." So he responded, and so at the time, while I was online with him, my wife walks into the dining room, and I give her the phone, and she see him, and she was like, "Is that who?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Legendary Baller." And he started talking junk to her. You need to leave that man alone and let him do what he's supposed to do. So now I don't. Now I have the S'mores Crunch, Graham Cracker Delight, Peanut Toffee Crunch, and Simply Vanilla. But
Mm.
now I have granola. I got a maple bourbon granola, and I also have a honey vanilla, which is candied granola. I figured out how to candy it.
Mm.
So I sent him a package of all my products, and he did a video for me, a live video showing my box, logo, and everything. So just sent him the maple bourbon last week, and he sent me a video giving me a shout out. Man, I tell you, I was floored. And this guy has like millions of followers. And
Yeah.
the fact that he said, follow this man. I looked on my Instagram, beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep. That's networking. That's networking. So sometimes you just got to network with people. And another thing, people don't understand the internet has changed the game.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you following people that do podcasts, reach out to people that started podcasts. Same thing with YouTube. I just recently started my own YouTube channel, Cooking with KP Candies. People think I only make candy. Oh no. You had some of my cooking, you
Listen,
know,
again,
you,
from appetizers to desserts, this man can make you a full course meal. I
oh yeah,
promise you.
from
And
scratch.
it's gonna hit.
Yeah, from scratch.
And it's gonna hit. Mm.
Yeah, so, but on my YouTube channel, I'm teaching people how to save money, how to shop with 25, $30.
Mm, okay.
So, and you can make your nice casserole. Right now, I have the chicken cordon bleu casserole up there, and I have the herb butter. So
Okay.
I teach people how to cook with fresh herbs, fresh ingredients. It's more of a teaching how and I tell people all the time, a recipe is just a blueprint. That's all it is. You
Mm-hmm.
can change it to whatever you want. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you.
That's facts. That is right. So, were there any role models or mentors who have played a significant role or have influenced the person you are today?
Oh yeah, yeah. First of all, I want my coaches. My coaches is where it started from. I had a conversation with my dad one time, and he told me, he said, Frederick, you wouldn't be the man that you are if it wasn't for your coaches. I couldn't do it by myself. And my dad is the most prideful person on the planet. And for him to say that, I was like, wow, I can't believe he said that. And I
Right.
remember all of my coaches from Pop Warner
Okay.
to minor league. But the coaches, the one coach I still talk to, Coach Charlton. And I'm gonna read off all my coaches. My Pop Warner coach, Coach Blackwell.
Okay.
Then I had Coach Bryan when I was in junior league. Then when I got to middle school, it was Coach Johnson. And when I got to high school, it was Coach Jerry Winnington, Coach Charlton, Coach Money,
Come
Coach
on.
Charlton, Coach Anderson.
Mm.
Then when I got to minor league, it was Coach Alden Jackson, Coach Solomon Ricks, Coach Brown, Coach Dupree. And I wanted to end with Coach Dupree, but Coach Dupree and I, we still talk to this day.
Okay.
Coach Dupree, uh, he was like one of the top football players in NC Central history. And he also played in the NFL. He played for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, and his name is what?
Myron Dupree.
Myron Dupree. I'm gonna look
Yeah,
him
he
up.
played. Yeah, he played at Central. But the thing I love about my coaches, see, coaches now was different between when. First of all, the game of football has changed. Is to me is soft, but it
Hmm.
is what it is. But coaches, real coaches, they don't care. They don't really care about developing the football player. They care about developing the man.
Mm.
And seeing that's what all my
The same
coaches told
thing.
we because some of y'all ain't going to the NFL. Coach
Right.
Bill Devine, my high school football coach Bill Devine, he told us, he said, my senior year, I'm a graduate of Cary High School, class of '91. My senior year, we won 0 games. We were defeated, not undefeated,
Y'all were
defeated. So, um, but he told us, he said, some of you guys will never put the shoulder pads and the helmet on again in life. He said, so I want you guys to become better men, role models, citizens, good citizens amongst people. And I love all my coaches to this day. And I tell them every now and then I go have a seat with Coach Rodney Charleston. We'll go out to eat, just sit down and just talk football, talk about back in the days. Um, but Coach Dupree, I just talked to him today. I said, man, I want to give you your flowers while you're here. So I reached out to some of my teammates. I'm gonna cook a nice meal for them. I said, Coach Dupree, your house will never smell this good again. I can promise you that. So, because he can't cook, so he do enough to get by. But I just want him to. And like I tell them all the time, hey man, I love you. If it wasn't for you, um, a lot of the things that I've learned over time, you're a big part of my life. Bobby Houston, he played at NC State. He took me under his wing when I was 14 years old. I used to go to the Y. Um, he played in the NFL. I think Bobby played for about 12, 13 years.
in the
Uh,
NFL.
in the NFL. He got
Nice.
I remember when he got drafted. I'm gonna tell you a story about Bobby Houston. Bobby believed, and Bobby was from Maryland,
Okay.
Washington, D.C. area. So I met Bobby at the YMCA on Hillsborough Street back in the days, and I grew up in Warner Terrace. So back the old Warner Terrace, not the new one.
Wow.
So back in the days,
Yeah.
during the summer, the YMCA on Hillsborough Street will come to the barrows and pick kids up so we can go swimming. That's why I learned how to swim at the Y.
Okay.
So we can go swimming, play basketball, stuff like that. So during the summer, a lot of the NC State football players were counselors over at the Y.
Okay.
So uh, I was getting in trouble, and Bobby grabbed me by my shoulder, and he was like the hugest guy I ever seen in my life. So I looked up at him. He said, "Man, what are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "You well, why you always getting in trouble?" And I think one of my friends said, "Bobby, you know Fred played linebacker, right?" He said, "Is that right?" He said, "You play linebacker." And at the time, I'm probably about 100 pounds soaking wet. So he said, "You want to come work out with me?" I said, "Yeah." So I worked out with Bobby for the summer.
Okay.
I was probably, when I went back to school, going into my sophomore year, they thought I had took steroids over the summer.
Just
That's how much.
from training.
Yeah, because he got drafted into the NFL. I want to say Bobby went like either late second or early third round.
Mm.
And when he got drafted, he said, once I get drafted, man, I'm gonna come back and get you and take you school shopping. I said, "Man, you ain't coming back to get me. You're gonna forget about me." He said, "I'm coming back." So we are in the neighborhood, playing football, BSing around. So this twin turbo Z pull up. I'll never forget it, cream color, tinted
Mm.
windows. And I went into the house to get some water, and one of my buddies knocked on the door. He said, "Man, some guy out here in his car want to see you." So I looked outside. I said, "Man, I don't know who that is."
Yeah.
So Bobby got out the car. He said, "Fred, come on, I'm gonna take you school shopping." He showed me his signing bonus. I have never seen that many zeros on the check.
Mm-mm. That's a blessing. I
He
ain't gonna
took
lie.
me. He took me to Crabtree. Excuse me. Took me to Crabtree. Took me out to eat. Bought all my school supplies. He said, "Now I'm about to turn you over to Corey Edmond." Now Corey Edmond also played linebacker. Corey is now the strength and conditioning coach for the football team at the University of Kentucky.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
so Corey, my dad and I, we moved from Warner Terrace to Cary going into my senior year. And Corey was like, "Man, you too much of a hard head." And Corey, make a long story short, he was like, "Man, if you don't want to do right, I can't mess with you." So I'm like, "Man, I don't want to hear nothing you guys say.
Yeah.
Just being hard
Just
headed."
young.
Yeah, just young and stupid. So Corey left. I tried to reach out to him. He never returned my phone calls. So as time goes on over years, all the stuff that Corey was trying to tell me, I wouldn't listen.
Mm.
So as I started going, living my life, I started to see what he was talking about. And I'm like, I remember the stuff that Corey taught me. And I felt really bad because he wouldn't never return my phone calls. So as faith would have it, he ended up getting the strength and conditioning job over at NC State. And how I found out about it, I was watching the news or something. I said, "Man, I got to go apologize to this dude, man, because he knew what he was talking about. I wouldn't listen." See, that's what I mean. People don't harm themselves anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over there, and I went over there, and the lady called back to him, and she said, "Yeah, he can come back." So they walked me back. And when I saw him, I just broke down crying, man. I just
That's
broke down.
real.
I said, "Man, I'm so sorry, man."
That's very real.
I said, "I'm so sorry, man." I said, "You were right, man. You were right." Because Corey tried to get me. He left NC State. No, he once he did. I don't think Corey got drafted. He was probably a free agent, but he had a stint in the NFL. But he ended up going to Tennessee Chattanooga. At the time, Terrell Owens was at Tennessee Chattanooga.
Okay.
T.O.
Okay.
You know who T.O. is,
I know
right?
T.O.
So I would have been on the team with T.O., but I wanted to stay here and play minor league ball. Now, at the time, Jesse Campbell, Joe Johnson, Snake Vinson, and Ricky Logo and Corey, they was all living on Gorman Street. And they was like, "Bro, you're not going to get into the NFL." He said, "I'm not going to say you're not going to get in, but it's going to be hard to get into the NFL playing minor league ball. And I wouldn't listen. So, and Jesse said, man, look, I went in the second round and I was the ACC Rookie of the Year.
Facts.
And all them guys were, they were good football players at
Mm-hmm.
state. But I wouldn't listen. Corey said, don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them nothing. But I don't regret playing minor league ball. I had a lot of fun. And a lot of people think minor league football ain't real football. You know what I tell people? Take your ass out there.
Okay.
Go out there. I'm talking about when I played. I ain't talking about now. Go out there and think these people are going because they're hungry because they want to
Mm-hmm.
get to the NFL. And somewhere in
Yeah.
life, they went left. So yeah, you going out there and think these cats playing with you. I seen a
Yeah.
lot of guys get stretched out.
Mm. Cause they out there playing with the purpose. They they
Yeah.
they
Oh
hungry
yeah.
for it. That
Oh yeah.
makes sense though.
Yeah. But my coaches and as far as like the chefs, Chef Chase and Chef Petrozelli, I was just raw as a cook. Chef Robert Chase turned me into Chef Fred
Okay.
because he had a lot of cooks that was quitting. And he said, Fred, if you stick with me, I promise you I'll teach you everything I know.
Mm.
Everything I know. We shook hands. And when I tell you Chef Chase ran me through the ringer, he ran me through the ringer.
So what was your most valuable lesson learned from him?
Uh, Playing on the job, not being ready. I came in one day not knowing that two bus loads of people were gonna come in unexpectedly, and the kitchen wasn't prepped.
Mm.
And him and his sous chef Chris Petrozelli was standing to the side. I said, "Man, you ain't gonna help." You know what Chef Chase told me? The only way you're gonna learn is by getting your ass kicked.
Mm. You had to
Him and
fight
Chris,
through it.
yeah, him and Chris both left, and I couldn't leave until I cleaned up the kitchen and prepped for the next day. I
Ooh.
didn't get off work at 4 o'clock that morning.
I know it.
Yeah, the
Had to
four
be
and
there because you had to clean from the night before with the two buses of people and
yeah,
completely re-prep for the next day of business.
that never happened again.
Ooh, I know it didn't because I know that took some work. And were you
Yeah,
did you have any other workers with you or were you by yourself?
yeah, I had somebody else with me, but they won't work for damn. Yeah, they won't work for damn.
Good.
I spent half the time looking for them. So I had a lot of plates sent back because the food wasn't right. Um, and I said that's not going to happen again, and it never did.
All it takes is once though, right?
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. The best way to learn is by getting your ass kicked.
So how did you adapt to changes and challenges in this industry over time?
I went and got educated.
Okay.
Yeah, I went and got educated. I went to school and got my degree.
In
Got my
culinary?
No, I don't. I got a business degree.
Okay.
I went
Okay.
to as far as culinary school. I went to the school of hard knocks. That's the best way to learn
Okay.
because culinary school. I'm not knocking culinary school. If you want to go, go. But if you really want to learn, go step in the kitchen brigade. That's what you're gonna learn.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, but I wanted to educate myself, the business side, because I already had the cooking down pat. It ain't too many things I can't cook, and I'm talking about from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, from scratch. My
And you also are the type of chef too. Like, I just know if you don't know how to do it, you're gonna go figure out how to do it. So
yeah, oh
I
yeah,
know it's gonna be done.
yeah.
So
I'm very resourceful.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Very. So with with the business side of it, what was one of the biggest lessons or the biggest pills to swallow? Like, was there anything that what was your biggest takeaway from learning the business side of KP Candies?
Don't make a family business. Make the don't make a family business. Don't take don't use your family as your motivation. you use the business to build your family. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. When I first started KP Cannons, it was supposed to be me and my wife, but she didn't have the drive that I have. That's that's not her thing, and we would get into heated arguments about it. You supposed to do this, you supposed to do that, but at the end of the day, and people would tell me, "What you mad at her for?" That's the vision. God didn't give her the vision. God gave you the vision. If she there to help you out at the events, and my wife know the product better than anybody because she's been seeing me make it for all these
For
years. But
years, yeah.
yeah, but you can't expect your family to have the same vision that you have. Now it would have been different if I would have married someone that we were both in the culinary field and we wanted to have our own, business together. That's different. But we come from different sides of the spectrum. So, and we have different backgrounds, and our personalities are totally different. So, I'm more of a go-getter. She's not. She's more laid back, cool, calm, and collective till she get upset. But I'll tell anybody, don't start a family business. Just start the business, and if your family um, want to help out, allow them to help. But don't go into it starting a family business. You're going to be frustrated 9 times out of 10. Just
No,
make God just make God your CEO.
see, I like that because you hear like a lot of people, them, they mama, they cousins, aunties, everybody in business together. And then you see the business crash and burn because people argue or they nitpick and criticize and they're not able to work together to mend the vision. And I think a part of that is because, like you said, only one person had the vision and everyone else is trying to play a part in that, but you can't be mad at them for not seeing it the way that you see it because it's your vision. So I do
Right.
like the way you said that because that I feel like that's something that's not talked about. Everybody wants to go and create their own business so they can create their own revenue for their family, but everyone isn't thinking the same for it to mend together, if that makes sense. So I
Right.
like the way you said that. That's just not talked about enough.
Yeah.
It's truly not talked about enough. So looking back, is there anything that you would do differently when you if you were restarting your business today?
Uh, yeah. I just would have just started it on my own. I wouldn't have played football as long. I probably would have played maybe 1 or 2 years, and went to college and probably got my because I have an associate's degree. I probably would have got my master's in business administration because I could have either went sports or food, but I chose food
Okay.
because once upon a time in my life I was homeless. Yeah, my dad, kicked me out because I was not being uh, not being mindful, and he wanted me to do some things, and I wouldn't do them. So it was like, if you ain't gonna do what I tell you to do, you got to go. I came home, the locks was changed on the doors. I had to sleep on the streets for 3 days. Um,
That's
so when people say they're starving, they were like, I'm like, nah, you ain't starving.
right.
I've starved. I've slept outside on the bench. That's why when I see the people outside with the signs asking for money, nah, figure it out. And that's what I did. But some people make it so bad for themselves that they can't reach out. So I was able to reach out to my aunt and uncle um, that was down in Wendell, and yeah, nobody, no, nobody really reached out to help. So, but I was able to get down there, got back up on my feet. My uncle Roger came and got me. He rest in peace, Uncle Roger. He helped me get my driver's license, helped me get my first car. Um, got a job working with him for the state, and just got myself back up on my feet. And once I got on my feet, they allowed me to save up money, and I got straight. And I told my aunt Frankie and my uncle Roger, thank you for coming to get me. I said, but I won't never come back here to stay. I got it from here, and I never went back.
I love
I
the
would go back. I would go back to visit, but never to stay,
not to live.
not to
Not to
live.
live. That's very sweet, and thank you for sharing that with me because um people, especially with seeing people that's standing up with the signs, and I don't know, I just always get like a really funny feeling about that because people who are truly homeless, you can it's something about the demeanor. I've personally been homeless, and it wasn't even like I didn't even have to be homeless. I just was because I had a bitter person in college who didn't, she was a senior, I was a sophomore. I don't know what her issue was, but she didn't want me in the room. I wasn't in school for the second portion of college of the summer session because I didn't know it was broke up by two sessions. And I had just got hired at a job, and I had just refused the go back to the country because the manager I had kept threatening, like, if you leave, we're gonna fire you. Like, there's no telling if you'll be able to be rehired in the school year. And I just was pressed for money, like, just not wanting to go back to the country, trying to provide for myself. Thought I had it under control with the summer session. The girl messed it up. It was just all over the place. So I said that to say, I know whenever I was going through that, I didn't want to ask anyone for anything. Not that I didn't have them to call on, but I just didn't more so want everyone in my business. I didn't want to look like a charity case to some people. And I
Right,
ended up just having to break down and call that one friend and be like, girl, look, I'm going through it. This is the situation. This is where I'm at. And she opened up her doors to me. And I was living in Chapel Hill at the time, as a matter of fact. It was right off of, I think, exit 276 or something like that. But we were down 40 a little bit. And I remember I would have to drive from Chapel Hill to Durham to go to work at South Point. And some days I just didn't have enough money to be able to gas my car back up to go back to her house and back to work the next day. So I would sleep in the parking lot, sleep at gas stations in my car just
right.
because I didn't want to go home. I had just rather me getting on my feet, getting the money that I needed, and just being in the city so I wouldn't have to lose the job that I fought so hard to get because where I come from, I had applied for jobs from the end of my sophomore year to my senior year, and I never got hired no matter where I applied to, from Walmart to Dollar Tree, from the grocery store to a convenience store. I just couldn't get hired, and I didn't really understand why. Like, you had those people in the church who were, oh, we'll help your daughter get a job and have her come by here, have her come by. I mean, I feel like I done rode through the whole city, and I'm still coming to look at y'all on church on at church on Sunday, and y'all don't have a reason for not hiring me. So now I'm
Right.
confused because you sent me there. So whenever I was able to finally get a job when I went off to college, I was doing everything in my power to hold on to it because it took me so long to get one, and I didn't want to go back home over the summer and be stuck just in the house, no money, ain't got nothing to do, and just listening to my parents all day under their roof, got to do what they want me to do. And the only thing I want to do is go out and make money. Like, I want to
Right.
be able to fund my own lifestyle, and I couldn't. So I know, like, just from standing and looking at those people who are standing in front of all of these businesses and establishments, and you have these signs that say you're homeless, I just be wanting to ask, like, have you seen if anyone is hiring? You're standing in front of 30 businesses and you didn't even think to go over there because some of y'all look too clean to really be homeless. I'm
Yeah,
just
they do.
like, I'm just so
Yeah, they do.
confused. You got fresh haircuts, clean socks, and your knees are greased. How are you not
Yeah.
able to get a job interview? Like, I'm just confused. Do you want to help yourself? I don't even give water. I mean, I don't even give food. I mean, money. I only give food and I only give water
I don't. I
to
don't give them
people.
nothing.
You see, I guess it really just depends. Like, there was this older guy. He had to be in his 60s, maybe 70s. And I knew he was homeless because he wouldn't talk to nobody. He wouldn't speak to anyone. You would ask him all day long, do you need anything? Do you need anything? He would just plainly ignore you. So whenever I first moved to Durham and I got my first apartment, I was working at a grocery store on University Drive. And that's when I first encountered this man at the bus stop. And I just looking at him, you could truly tell he hadn't ate, but he just was so into it with himself that he just wasn't going to ask anyone. So I just stopped asking him because I was a part of the people. Hey, you need anything? Are you okay? You need a blanket? So I just stopped asking. And one day I came home. I told my roommate, I was like, look, there's this older man. He won't speak to anybody, but you could tell he's going through it to some degree. His clothes was raggedy. His hair was grown all over the place, but you could truly look at him and tell he was homeless. I was like, I just feel like I got to do something. So we went and we got blankets. I threw them in the dryer, tried to make them warm because it was right up the road from our apartment. I threw them in the dryer, try to keep them warm. I think we went to Chick-fil-A, bought him some food and maybe like two gift cards and put them in the bag. And we gave it to that man. And just the look on his face, because I'm assuming no one has ever tried to help him before. But just the look on his face let me know that we truly helped him that day. I have never seen no one that down bad ever since. So everyone else who I've seen, like I've even talked to Shauna. She's told me about a interaction that happened with her, and she was pregnant at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And she was a guy trying to get on the bus, talking about he didn't have money for bus fare, held up the bus for 10, 15 minutes or so. And then next thing you know, he pulled out a wad of cash and finally just paid the bus fare. And it's like she was in that position, watching it happen, getting ready to give her last few dollars, thinking that he needed it. And whole time you're playing a homeless scam. Like stuff like that. I don't even, the most I'll give them now is like water. Here's an extra bottle of water and water in my car. I can't give them no more than that. Cause I
And that's
just
what that's what happened to me. When I used to catch the bus when I was younger, it used to be this man. Uh, I gave him like $5, and he didn't know I was on the back of the bus. So I had caught the bus because I was working at the Fountain Dining Hall when I was in high school. He didn't know I had got on the bus before he did. Now I gave him $5 that morning. So he got on the bus. He was sitting in the front of the bus. "Ah, I got all these suckers today. Look at all this money I got." Now, mind you, I'm a hard head. I went up there. I said, "Man, give me my damn money back," and
yeah.
took my $5 back. Ever since then, I don't.
I it's just
Yeah,
people really scam. Like
yeah,
to know the extent people will go, to know that there are literal billionaires off of homeless scams. That
yeah,
is crazy to me. Where I'm getting up, I'm working my 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, Instacart, Uber, DoorDash on the weekends, little Lyft here and there. I'm selling cake here, selling plates here. I'm doing all of this to generate my lifestyle, and you outside with a sign
yeah,
lying to folk making millions.
yeah.
It's the world we live in. The
Oh yeah.
world we live in, it's a strange place. So another question for you would be, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to start within this industry?
But then what? The confection industry?
Yes.
I will tell you to do your research because you got to make sure you know who your competition is. And see, with my product, I'm not the person that invented the s'mores. I just made it better.
Correct.
I wasn't the first person that ever dipped a graham cracker in chocolate or fudge. I just made it better. I just enhanced what it was. Uh, Probably how I was doing that, 19, yeah, about 20 years ago. Me and a buddy of mine went to the Confection Association. They have like this huge thing in Chicago, and again, I'm working at MC Sweets at the time, so I'm getting a room for little or nothing. And I'm sitting down in the lobby, doing happy hour, and it was a bunch of executives sitting down there. And at the time, I'm trying to sell my s'mores crunch to one of these big companies. So I ended up giving one to a lady that was on the board of directors of Hershey's. She tried the s'mores. She said, "Oh my God, this is delicious." She said, "Who makes these?" I said, "I make them." And she said, "You made these?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "I'm trying to sell the idea." And she said, "Well, how many units have you sold?" I ain't know nothing about units.
Right.
Had no idea what she was talking about. She said, "Well, you got to sell a lot of units in order to sell your brand." And that kind of discouraged me from, but she really enjoyed it. She said, "You took something old and reinvented it." And I stopped making them for about 2 or 3 years because I got discouraged because I didn't want anybody to steal my product.
Right.
So again, that's being uneducated. And
Mm.
a situation I just had with a shop down in down in Fayetteville. I ain't gonna put the name out there, but I signed a contract with them in May. 2 months after I signed the contract, they come back to me saying, "Well, you got to sign a new contract." I'm like, "For what?" They said, "Well, we hired a company to run our business. They requiring all the vendors to sign a new contract." I said, "I'm not signing a new contract." Now, the
Right.
contract was based on the consignment. Consignment is they're taking your product, they're selling your product for you, they're taking a fee and paying you the rest. Now, mind you, I just went down there Mother's Day weekend, and
Right.
they made all these promises. So the lady went from a consignment deal to a fee based deal. I said, "You can't do that.
Oh no.
That's first of all, that's unethical in business. Second of all, you can't do that in your contract." And they was like, "Well, we could change the terms." I said, "Yeah, you can change the terms, but you can't go from consignment to fee. You can't do that." And see, this is where my education uh, comes in at. I called the Federal Trade Commission and told them what happened. They took
Right.
down
Damn.
a statement, and the lady from the Federal Trade Commission told me that they can't do that. See, you got to check your sources. I called the Federal Trade Commission. I contact attorneys and see people out here that do these Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats. Y'all need to look at the fringe benefits they offer. I bet you half of y'all doing Instacart right now don't even know that you have access to Rocket Lawyer.
To who?
Rocket Lawyer. You can get
Mm.
you can get free. You can send them a question, they'll answer it to you for free, and you get discounts if you need one. I bet you didn't even know that, did you?
No.
See?
But wrote it down. I definitely
Rock,
wrote it down.
yeah, Rocket Lawyer. So that's why I do Instacart, but I don't do the Instacart. And saying I love to shop too. So if I'm a shop, I might as well get paid for it.
Right.
So yeah, you got Rocket Lawyer. You just send them the question. You can either send them an email or you can call them on the phone. But see, you got to know there's a difference between talking and having a conversation.
Right.
If you're talking to somebody, you're not really achieving anything. Talking is more like, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day?" That's talking. But when you're having a conversation with somebody, there's usually some substance behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, those I got two responses back, and I asked them. Um, I phrased the question. I just signed a contract with a confection store. Can they legally change their contract from consignment to sales base? Both of them said no.
Period.
So the people from the Federal Trade Commission, they gave me, they sent me a report with a file number on it. So now I'm going to file a complaint with the Attorney General and the Better Business Bureau. So a lot of people go on social media and slam people in their business. No, that ain't how you do it. Because for one thing, depending on what you say and what you do, you can be reported and you can lose your social media account. So if you really want to get at people like that, you just use the Federal Trade Commission, the Better Business Bureau, and the Attorney General. That's why they're there
Mm.
to help you. That's why it's very important to be a good business person and keep your word.
Yeah, it is. Because your word is
Yeah.
all you have.
Oh yeah, and your name, because once the chef told me one time, he said, Chef Fred, I don't care how good your product is or how good it looks, but the moment somebody gets sick from it, your reputation is over. You might as well
Hmm.
do something else.
That's facts. It's so funny you said that because at my current job, they bring food trucks. I know I just had this food truck, I think last Monday. It ain't even worth saying their name. All I had was mac and cheese off the truck because everything else was pork based. And I
Right.
got sick from the mac and cheese. But before I even told anybody I got sick, you got one, two, maybe three other people who are walking around saying the same thing. Like, yeah, that food made me sick yesterday. They have now been removed from our food truck list. All it took was one to two people. I didn't even have a chance. All it took was those other two or three or one or two people to say, yeah, they made me sick. And they have now been completely ruined. Whether the food was good or not, nobody wants them to come back out to the job now. So your name is everything for sure.
Yeah, but see what you don't know with that, y'all got a foodborne illness. I didn't even know it.
See? And I somebody else said that. Somebody said they think it was cross contamination. And
Yeah,
because
because
it was so many different moving parts, I believe
yeah,
it.
yeah. So in order for it to be considered uh,
A
foodborne
foodborne.
illness, it had to be three or more people with the same symptoms. Because people try to scam you, say, "Man, I ate that macaroni and cheese, my stomach hurt." Six more people ate it. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Anything wrong with you? No, ain't nothing wrong with me. So people, yeah, it has to be three or more people,
Okay.
and you have to go to the hospital. They either you either bring the food or they test your feces.
Yup. Okay. Nice to know. Nice to know. And you said at the hospital,
Yeah, you go to a hospital or urgent care.
a doctor
Yeah,
to some degree.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, bad. Yeah, because they have been completely removed from the food truck list now, all because a few of us all said we got sick. But like I said, I didn't even have a chance to tell anyone I got sick because it was other people already walking around talking about it. But your name is everything.
oh
So
yeah.
wrapping up this conversation, how has running and starting your business affected you personally and professionally?
Um, it's been great. It's been great. When I see people try my product for the first time and just seeing them like, oh my God. I mean, that's what they hear all the time. I did this event down in Fayetteville, and this lady was from Germany. I have the video on my YouTube channel. The lady is from Germany. If you know anything about Germans, they love chocolate. Their
Mm,
chocolate is totally different.
delicious.
But what people don't know, I make my own chocolate blend from scratch.
Mm,
I made my own chocolate blend. I'm getting ready to start making my own peanut butter blend.
mm,
Um, so during the whole time she walking around, she's like, I don't think this chocolate that good. Now, mind you, I got people coming from everywhere, little kids, senior citizens, the whole nine. Everybody's coming.
right,
So she was close to the end. She finally come up, and I said, "Ma'am, listen, just take a sample. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. You're not losing anything."
right.
So she bit into it. She was like, "This is absolutely delicious." Now
Oh,
this
it's
lady is
taking a
from
little
Germany.
bit. Oh, she
She
got to
said
give
this
it a try.
she said this is absolutely delicious. But Chef Nodder taught me how to infuse. foods.
Mm,
Chef
okay.
Nada taught me how to infuse. See, I can hide certain things in foods you won't even know what's in there. But see, it's about the flavor profile. Chef Nada taught me that. He said, "Yeah, your product is good, but I'm going to show you how to make it better." He said, "I usually charge people $2,000 or $3,000 for this, but since you are a student of my class and I see that you're willing to learn, I'm going to show you for free."
That's
That's why my product tastes as good as it does, because I paid attention, I asked questions, and he saw that I was willing to learn. Only thing I said is two things I said to him: yes, chef, no, chef. I didn't talk back, and I learned that from coaching. I learned that from my coaches. I didn't talk back.
yeah.
Yes, yes, chef, no, chef. Same thing, even if they were wrong. Yes, chef, no, chef. Then I would talk to him after class. But he showed me how to infuse food. Chef Chase showed me how to infuse food. My marinara sauce, I made from scratch. Alfredo sauce, I made from scratch. Everything that I do, I made from scratch. And I passed
Mhm.
that along to my children. Right before I left home, my son was making spaghetti. I got a big bushel of basil. I said, "You put any basil in it?" "Oh man," I said, "He says it's too late." I said, "Nah." But see, he didn't realize he was making, like I said, he was making some spaghetti. And I saw that his, now the trained eye can see. I said, "Watch, why'd you rinse your spaghetti noodles off? Your sauce ain't sticking to it." He said, "You're supposed to rinse it off." I said, "No." I said, "How your sauce gonna stick to it?" I said, "You see how watery your sauce is?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "That's because the pasta is not absorbing the liquid."
Mm.
Yeah, you when you
But that's
see,
like you said, that's the trained eye thing. Because that's something I
yeah,
never even knew.
yeah, you always prepare your sauce first. Then you prepare the noodles. You make sure it tastes good. And once you get the taste that you want, the noodles are going to absorb the flavor. Yeah,
Mm.
that's why you never cook your noodles first. You always cook your noodles last with any type of pasta. And people think pasta just has to be red or white sauce. It don't have to be red or white sauce. You can use olive oil, pesto,
Pesto.
fresh
Hmm.
herbs. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sauce first, then noodles.
Yeah. Make your sauce first and make sure you taste the food. You can always
Always.
add to, yeah, always taste the food. You can add to, but you can't
Can't
take
take
away.
away.
Yeah.
That's facts. My mama taught me that. You can always add to, but can't take away.
Can't take away.
Cause once it's in there, it's in there.
Oh yeah.
I learned that the hard way, playing with salt and pepper, and I figured it out. Once it's
Yeah.
in there, you can't come
Yeah.
back from it.
You gotta throw that away and start over.
Start all the way over.
But
So with cooking from scratch, when's the next time you cooking?
I'm gonna cook when I get home.
What you cooking tonight? What's on the menu tonight?
Tonight, now the funny thing is, I have so many recipes in my head. Sometimes I don't even know what I want to cook.
Right. You got too
So
many options.
yeah, yeah, way too many options. So I'm gonna do a steak and potato bake.
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna make a pepper steak glaze. So I'm gonna take peppers, onions, and I'm gonna go get either flank steak or skirt steak, cut it into strips or cut it into cubes, and take some of that fresh basil and infuse it with the potatoes, bake it up. Then uh, once I cut the steak up, and see the way I tell people, I see people cook and they put salt and pepper just on the top. I said, what about the bottom? What about the sides?
Right.
I'm like, well, you're gonna be able to taste it. Like, okay, I make my own turkey burgers from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out the turkey burgers that you buy from the store, they dry out too quick.
See, I make
So,
mine from scratch too. So what I
but
need
what
to do?
but what I start doing whenever I get like leg quarters or something like that, I take the skin off and save it. So I
Mm.
take and I have a meat grinder. So whenever I make my turkey burger base, I take the skin and run it through the meat grinder, and that fat I infuse it with the ground turkey, and I take fresh, and you could take the skin and put it in a food processor, but you got to chop it up before it completely thaws out. If you don't have a meat grinder, and I'm gonna put this on my YouTube channel too, and
Hmm.
I use fresh herbs, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and liquid smoke. And I make a little meatball. And I take that meatball, put it in the oven or the air fryer. If that meatball tastes good, that entire batch of meat is gonna taste good. But when I tell you it's one of the juiciest, like I make my own sauces from scratch, chicken, beef, pork, turkey. I make all that stuff from scratch. Now I buy it, for convenience, but
Right.
I take them and I roll them into little balls and put them in the freezer. So, I do the same thing with chicken patties. If I see some chicken breasts on sale, I take my own breading. I make my own breading. I panko breadcrumbs, cornstarch, and seasoned flour. I take those chicken breasts, slice them, or if I can buy them already thin, instead of buying them Tyson chicken breasts, there's nothing wrong with Tyson chicken breasts,
Hmm.
but if I can go and make 25, 30 breasts, bread them, stick them in a Ziploc bag, freeze them. So, my people come home when they want a chicken sandwich. I do the same thing with fish, same thing with pork chop. I make it convenient for my family.
And then they can just take them out the freezer and fry them.
Yeah,
Pre-season.
yeah, it's already seasoned. I got a deep fryer on the back porch.
Good.
Yeah. Or either what I'll do, if let's say if I make 20, I'll take 10 of them and pre-fry them and put them in the refrigerator. They just throw them in the air fryer, bring them up to
Take
temp.
them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
believe in good flavor and convenience for
Yeah.
everyone. Make it easy on everybody.
Yeah. I make it easy on everybody. Like when ops come over, I make them homemade chips. And I make
Mm.
my own barbecue seasoning for the chips.
Mm. I just know
Like
they
what
good.
Yeah, what flavor you want, ops? You want barbecue, sour cream, or cheddar? Yeah, I make all the seasonings.
At least you do that
Papa,
way. That's Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ.
like Papa, I want chips. So, like I said, I got other stuff
You'll know
that
what's
I'm.
in it too.
Yeah, oh yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to make, but I'm gonna put all that stuff on my YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, I'm tuned in. I'm locked in. I got to be cooking with
Yeah,
KP candies. I'm in there.
oh yeah,
I got to be because I don't know. I'm slowly. Well, I kind of already been this way, but I kind of make everything from scratch too. But a lot of stuff I'm still learning how to make from scratch, and I truly feel like your YouTube channel is gonna shine the light I need on these made from scratch recipes. So I'm excited because I already know what your food hitting on, and
oh yeah,
it's busting. It's
yeah.
they eating over there.
Lashana texted me today. Dad, you cooking today? Are you cooking tomorrow? No, I'm cooking today.
Yeah.
So, um, and you know how I feel about my daughter, boy.
Okay.
My, yeah, my daughter. I mean, I let her make her own decisions. She grown, but at the end of the day, there's Princess right there,
That's
boy.
your baby. I
Yeah,
know.
that's my baby. I give her a hard time. Lashana can mess up sometimes, and I'd be mad as fire. But it's just something about them eyes.
Can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, I'd be like.
I think you gotta just let it go.
Yeah. I gotta let it go. I gotta tone it down. And sometimes, she'll get her Def Comedy Jam. I'll be like, Shauna, I'm still your dad. I need for you to cut out the profanity now.
Go on
And then the
now.
same, yeah, same thing with with the boys too. I mean, I don't care how old they get, they always gonna be my babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I had to learn that too. Like, I don't got no kids yet, but I have nieces and nephews, and I don't care. Like, my oldest is about to be 24 next week, and
right,
that's still my baby. Like, I remember carrying him on my hip. That was my
right.
little baby. So they will be your babies forever, no matter how
Oh yeah,
big they get. That's forever.
yeah.
So is
Oh yeah.
there anybody you would like to shout out before we wrap this up
Oh
today?
yeah. Oh yeah. I got to shout out my mentors, Cameron Jones, Mike Jones. Mike Jones, not the rapper. Mike Jones, the track runner.
Okay.
He writes his own music scores.
Mm.
He's a teacher in Chapel Hill. Karen Jones, which is his wife, she's one of my mentors. We work together in food service. Chef Robert Chase, Chef Chris Petrozelli. Um, let's see who else. All my football teammates. Of course, my family.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between family and relatives.
Hmm.
So my mom, my dad. Um, I don't want to leave nobody out. Oh yeah, Tim Prince. Tim Prince. If you get a chance, go online, check out Tim Prince.
Okay.
He's doing some good things with the youth in Raleigh. So yeah, shout out to Tim Prince. He's been there with me for the longest time. Now he's always supported KP Candies. Uh, Legendary baller. Gotta send a shout out to him.
Okay.
You got to look him up. You got to look him up.
I'm going to look him up as
Um,
soon as we wrap this up. I got to go see Legendary
yeah.
Balling.
Tim Prince, Team Truth. He is doing some amazing things. But like I said, Coach Dupree, Coach Rodney Charlton, rest in peace, Coach Anderson. Tim Holmes, he's out in California. He's coaching the female football league out there. Uh,
Ooh, I like that.
Chris, my teammate Chris Jones, James Payne, you know, uh, Joy Broadnax. Um, yeah, those guys. Uh, they've been with me for a very long time. Bobby Houston, Corey Edmond. My mom and dad, my brother. They've always been there for me. Like I said, my family. My close friends. I only have two friends, just two. Keep the
That's true.
circle small. And I'm gonna give you some advice because your podcast is gonna blow up.
Oh, thank you.
You're gonna lose a lot of friends, a lot of so-called friends. Because when I started KP Candies, we're gonna wrap this up. When I started KP Candies, some of the guys I grew up with, them cats fell to the wayside. I still love them.
Yeah.
We always gonna be boys. But yeah, them cats fell to the wayside, man. I got to shout out Charles Williams too. Yeah, me and Charles go back. Me and Charles go back like
Like
way.
four flats.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Charles been through some things, so he helped me out of a situation. Me and my brother, when we were kids, so we always gonna. Now we true brothers,
Yeah, I
but
love that.
yeah, but at the end of the day, the chefs, my coaches. I love all my coaches, man. I love them.
I'm
I
sure they
I
love
love.
you too, though. It
Yeah,
takes a lot, like, for you to admire that relationship with them. I'm sure they admire the relationship with you just the same. It can't be. You could tell it's equally yoked, even
yeah,
without speaking to them. You could tell it's equally yoked.
yeah. I got this one last story. My Coach Jerry Winnington. Um, he's the reason why I don't quit nothing to this day.
Okay.
Cause I quit the JV football team because I was better than They knew I was better than the guy that was in front of me, but I hadn't picked up any weight.
Mm.
And
Okay.
yeah, I was at the East Carey. East Carey and West Carey was rivals.
Okay.
So I was at the game at the top of the hill, and he walked at the top of the hill. He said, "Privette, I heard you quit." I said, "Yes, sir, I did quit." He said, "Well, why you quit?" I said, "Man, I'm better." I said, "Coach, I'm better than the guy that's in front of me, but y'all keep giving him reps." He said, "Privette, you're a freshman. He's a sophomore. You get into our weight program, pick up weight, we need you for 4 years. He's not going to play when he gets up to the varsity level. You will.
Mm.
He's not. He's. I mean, in less terms, he's more. Politics. But he said we're grooming you for your senior year. Yeah, we're grooming you for
They
4 years.
saw the potential before you even
Yeah,
saw the vision.
yeah. And the guy that was in front of me, he never played football again.
Mm.
Yeah, he never played. He never played again. But his parents gave money to the imp club and all that other stuff. So yeah, it was politics involved. But yeah, Coach Winnington, no, he didn't. But when I went back to practice, he ran the crap out of me. I'll tell you that.
I believe it. He said, "I'm
Yeah,
gonna show you some."
yeah. But he that's the reason why I don't quit nothing. Because there's been plenty of times I wanted to quit KP Candace, but I thought about Coach Winnington.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought about Coach Winning. He said, "Don't quit. It's easy to quit, and I don't put too
Very.
much time, too much money, and sacrifice my health for KP Candy. So nah,
I'm gonna be honest too. I personally am very thankful that even with the minor stops that you had to do from COVID, before COVID, I'm just glad KP Candies is here, because
right,
I know for a fact that the same way you say my podcast is gonna take off, I will advocate from the ground to the highest mountain. KP Candies needs to be on every single shelf there is. Like, that's something fun and interactive for kids. It's literally everything. It's something for everyone. Kids, adults, elderly, everyone will love KP candies. And to know that you are expanding in the granola, and it only gets better from here. So I'm very thankful for your brand. I'm very thankful for your time. I'm very thankful for this interview, because I feel like this is going to shine a light on the person behind KP Candies. and
right,
and that's mainly what I want to do. I want to provide a platform for everyone to be able to come and not only just explain their brand and get into what got them there, but also shine a light on the person that you are. And from the way this interview has went, I just know you're a very humble, very righteous person, very resourceful person, where you take your resources and you apply them to your needs, and you make sure you educate yourself to make sure that you're on top of your game, so you're not lacking. And that's something that a lot of people can't say they do. So I'm
right.
thankful unto you. I really appreciate this interview. We appreciate all the knowledge and the gems that you have dropped today. This has been a very successful first episode of Talk That Talk on Let's Talk About It podcast. And I'm excited for the future. I would love
Oh
to
yeah,
have you come on with me again. I'm hoping one day to get in the cooking on the actual YouTube channel, because um as of recently, I mean, I just kind of cook anything now, but I've been getting more food orders than cake orders, because people are starting to realize I really can cook as well. So I
right,
would love to get in the lab with you. I've always called the kitchen the lab. It's the place where I get all my greatest ideas. So I would
right.
love to get in the lab with you one day and actually like make a real cooking video from appetizers to desserts. I'm ready for a full course meal from Chef Frederick. Do you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Just let me know. I got you.
All right. Well, I appreciate this interview today, and you enjoy the rest of your day. And as for my Lex Talk About It podcast listeners, we are out.
All right, later.
Later.